Quick crypto bringing you quick Kaspa news. Kaspa finally has just broken above the 8 cents level of resistance, the first time in almost 2 months, which is really reassuring. However, is this a breakout or is this just another fake out? In today's video, we'll be covering the recent Kaspa and crypto updates, the reason for this positive price momentum right now, and also the confirmation that Visa will be running on top of Kaspa's technology, which is exactly what Kaspa's founder, Jonathan Polinsky, predicted a few years back. The future of crypto adoption is accelerating, stablecoin adoption is equally growing more and more, and Kaspa is going to shock everybody in the cycle, in my personal opinion. In fact, the chairman of the Kaspa Industrial Initiative and DII Desert Energy, Paul Van Son, agreed, effectively stating here last week that Kaspa is still hardly known in finance, industry and broad public worldwide. But all of us, they all will discover it, not through hype stories and false expectations, but by experiencing the true value of security, processing speed and smarter clean energy use. Kaspa is still extremely early, do not fade Kaspa. With that being said though, as we can see from the market chart right now, Kaspa is currently valued at 8.41 cents, up roughly 7.86% on the daily time frame, which is looking very, very good right now. It broke above the 8 cent resistance level, which is really reassuring, and there are 3 potential reasons for why, in my belief, as why Kaspa has done this today. The first being the US dollar index, or the dollar DYX, which plunged to the lowest level since March 2022, 3 years ago. This is a clear sign that its strength is weakening, which means the economy is stagnating. When the value of the dollar is deteriorating, capital inflows tend to flow towards investments like gold, as the proven and stable store of value. In that regard, we can see right here, gold is reaching higher highs continuously, currently now valued at $3,423, which is absolutely nuts, and it's still going higher. This is actually also bullish for the on-risk assets like crypto, like Bitcoin, as these will typically receive a portion of the inflows as people stray away from the dollar and start going towards investment, because also the Federal Reserve are going to have to take action very, very soon. This is the second reason why I believe Kaspa is pumped today, is because of Trump's recent announcement. Preemptive cuts in interest rates are being called for by many, with energy costs way down, food prices, including Biden's egg disaster, substantially lower, and most other things trending down. There is virtually no inflation. With these costs trending down so nicely, which is exactly what Trump predicted would happen, there is almost no inflation. But there can be a slowing of the economy unless Jerome Powell, aka Mr. Too Late, decides to lower interest rates right here and now. So Trump effectively is calling for imminent rate cuts, as our economy is in a better position inflation-wise, but it is stagnating and slowing down. It's coming to almost a halt. The way to avoid this is to start cutting rates and to start printing money, quantitative easing. Now, as we can see from Kaspa Silver here, right now, market sentiment has 88% that predict we won't see rate cuts this May, next month, very, very soon. But thinking about it, with other economies like Europe and Japan and even China printing more money and cutting rates, America, in my personal belief, will be forced to do so sooner rather than later. This will also result in the M2 money supply jumping up much higher as well. As Wolfie highlights here, the M2 Global Liquidity Index aggregates M2 money stock data from the 5 major economies of China, the United States, the European Union, Japan, and Great Britain. And as we should know, Bitcoin, which is basically crypto's S&P 500, has an 80% correlation to the M2 money supply. So it's not a golden bullet by any means, and it's not a perfect indicator, but nothing is, truth be told. However, it is still a very good one, and we can see more or less where the market should end up and at what sort of time. Right now, the M2 has us sitting around a 130 plus K Bitcoin by July, August time. So not that far, about 2 to 3 months from now. And keep in mind, this is without US rate cuts and money printing just yet, and without regulatory frameworks in America. And with these coming out this year, that could send crypto, Bitcoin and Kaspa so much higher as well. As Christian Ludwig highlights here, the last time global liquidity surged in 2023, Kaspa became the world's highest gaining asset of the year. And with Kaspa 2.0 incoming, their game-changing updates that starts in May, 5th of May, 10 BPS, which as we can see, May is around the time the M2 starts to make a big rally to the upside as well. We may very well see history repeat itself and see a 2023 Kaspa pump, which would be absolutely insane. And this effectively is my third potential reason for why Kaspa surpassed 8 cents earlier today. The 10 BPS crescendo hard fork activation is now only 2 weeks away. The FOMO for this upgrade seemingly is starting to rally, and therefore the buyers are starting to take more control. In saying that, this could still be a fake out, of course. Nothing yet has been confirmed, but in my personal opinion, not financial advice of course, I believe the bottom has been priced in for Kaspa and it will be only up from here. That is, unless Trump decides to issue more surprise extortionate tariffs again. Once more, Kaspa is still hardly known in finance industry and broad public worldwide, but soon they will all discover Kaspa consciously or subconsciously as Kaspa becomes the infrastructure for global payments across the world, as it is confirmed here that Visa will be using Kaspa rails for payments for stablecoins in the near future, proof once more how early we are. And for more information on what I'm personally doing in this particular board, you can follow me here in the VIP group at wop.com/coin-factory, keeping all of you informed on what my moves and targets are, building realistic market expectations through alpha institutional research documents while also actively trading the market. There is so much more to come in this cycle, I'm telling you, and you can also join for a limited 7-day free trial period as well. So again, wop.com/coin-factory, you can find the link down below in the description. So as we can see from Saint here, back in 2018, Jonas Polinsky, Kaspa's founder, stated that Visa would adopt tech like Kaspa, enabling thousands of transactions per second in a trustless and more secure system. Take a very close listen.
This is sort of a trivial slide that is hard to convince people. It's sort of paradoxical. So anyone who knows blockchain internally acknowledges that it is in and of itself a technology, a database technology that is inferior to any centralized database. Now, there are many talks in the community how to scale up the system, but we must acknowledge that any scaling technology will forever lose to Visa's technology. And we'll get to it shortly why, but, and this is not a prediction about adoption, this is a statement about the technology itself. And the reason is that because we are trying to build a trustless system, this trustless implies lots of scalability limitations, which Visa doesn't have. So any feature that blockchain will have, Visa will probably copy, scalability-wise. So today, it's 10,000 transactions, the capability of Visa at least. Bitcoin is not near that. So whenever someone says, we have blockchain is more secure, it's not more secure per se, it's not more private per se, and it's slower.
So Visa will probably copy the features blockchain infrastructure has scalability-wise, because obviously that's where crypto is going right now, payments is going towards crypto right now, but Visa wouldn't want to copy the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or many others in this space because they are inefficient, they are, not trustless, and they are also far too slow. But this is the thing, with Kaspa, 10 BPS just around the corner, that will make Kaspa one of, if not the fastest layer 1 infrastructure in the whole world, and Polinsky has the goal to increase Kaspa to 100 BPS in the future, which would therefore make Kaspa in theory able to handle 30,000 TPS, which is 3 times more than what Visa apparently can handle at 10,000. Visa and many other large financial institutions are not going to miss out on crypto adoption. Visa are already tapping into the crypto space to utilize stablecoins as a means of exchange. The reason why is simple. Stablecoins are the future of payments as a peer-to-peer electronic currency. Last year, stablecoin volume and transactions surpassed that of both Visa and MasterCard combined. The annual stablecoin transfer volume reached $27.6 trillion last year, which is insane, surpassing Visa and MasterCard combined by 7.7% according to a Jan 31st report by crypto exchange CEX.io. Stablecoins blew Visa and MasterCard well out of the water, beating them every single quarter of 2024. And keep in mind, this is without mainstream mass adoption for stablecoins. Without regulatory frameworks for stablecoins right now, this is still early retail adoption and some early institutional adoption. It is evident that stablecoins are a superior form of peer-to-peer currency, better than normal dollars, better than euros, better than fiat. It is the new form of payments. That is even why Federal Chairman Jerome Powell recently stated in an interview that stablecoins are a digital product that could actually have fairly wide appeal and should contain consumer protections. So Jerome Powell is advocating here for stablecoin legislation. Listen very closely to the interview.
Well, let me move to something which is more about technological change and new kinds of instruments, cryptocurrencies. How do you see the potential for more favorable regulations coming on them and potential risks from that for the system?
So we went through a wave of failures and fraud and things like that were the headlines for a couple of years. And I think what you see now is, and during that period, by the way, we worked with Congress to try to get a legal framework for stable coins, which would have been a nice place to start. We were not successful. I think that the climate is changing and you're moving into sort of more mainstreaming of that whole sector. So Congress is again looking at both the Senate and the House are looking at a legal framework for stable coins. Depending on what's in it, that's a good idea. We need that. There isn't one now. And stable coins are a digital product that could actually have fairly wide appeal and should contain consumer protections of the typical sorts and transparency. And that's what the Senate and the House are working on. So that's a positive thing. I also think some of the we took a pretty conservative, and other bank regulators took an even more conservative perspective on the guidance and rules we imposed on banks. I think there'll be some loosening of that, and I think we'll try to do it in a way that preserves safety and soundness, but that permits and fosters appropriate innovation, but that does so in a way that again doesn't put consumers at risk in ways they don't understand or make banks less safe and sound.
So there is a race right now ongoing to create the best infrastructure to trade these stablecoins the fastest, the cheapest, and the most secure way possible. And this is why I think Kaspa is the perfect choice, and evidently, seemingly confirmed here as well, Visa actually have partnered with Tangem a little while back, as we can see here, to create the soon-to-be-released Tangem Pay. The first ever Visa hard wallet partnership is here, and this is extremely bullish for Kaspa due to their close connections and working togetherness with Tangem. And in fact, we can see in this post, Tangem recently confirmed by liking the post from someone suspicions here that Tangem Pay, the Visa with Tangem partnership, will be using Kaspa rails for stablecoin payments. They like the post. That might seem like nothing, but actually that's a very, very big deal and effectively confirmation here that Kaspa will be the payment rails for Visa and likely many other payment infrastructures going forward in the future. I mean, Kaspa right now, they're in the process of releasing 10 BPS smart contracts and stablecoins in the next couple of weeks, if not next couple of months at most. Kaspa is soon going to enter the race and capture the most significant market in the world, or be a part of it, the cross-border payments market, the stablecoin market. You can see furthermore here in this post from Crypto Slate, Stan Chart sees stablecoin supply rising to $2 trillion by 2028 following US legislation. That is huge news. 3 years from now. So we'll start seeing this significant rally happening very soon. Speculated we're going to see stablecoin implementation happening by August this year. Which again, to remind you, August this year is when we should see the M2 supply putting Bitcoin at around $130,000. So think about how much higher we're going to go once we get legislation. To my knowledge right now, the stablecoin market cap is only around $215 billion. So with it reaching $2 trillion in the next 3 years, that's a 10x potential in stablecoins, which is absolutely nuts. And of course, a lot of infrastructures right now are trying to adopt the technology to be the best rail for this. Visa right now being quite comfortably the biggest payment provider in the world is likely going to be running on top of Kaspa rails, which is huge and will further increase Kaspa's demand and price as more Kaspa is burned for transactions as a gas fee on the Kaspa rail. But also with Kaspa's aggressive emission schedule as well, this results in a supply shock for Kaspa and therefore increase in demand as supply is deteriorating and demand increases, therefore the price rises as well. This cycle is far from over. Institutional adoption is still not here yet. Only some institutions are dipping their toes in, with most still waiting to dive headfirst in once there are regulatory frameworks. Currently right now there are 72 crypto ETFs. 72 that are already lined up and waiting for approval, and we will likely see them flood in once we get the approval and the integration or inauguration of Paul Atkins as the new SEC chair. In my personal opinion, again not financial advice, I believe that May looks like the beginning of the end for crypto, but in particular also for Kaspa as well. But let me think down in the comments below. Do your own research, and as always, if you want to know more, then come chill, chat and learn more in the Coin Factory VIP group, again down below in the description. And as always, don't be emotional, be logical, and I'll see you in the next one.